We've all been there, right? At work? I mean, we know our jobs, or at least we know how to fake them fairly well. I mean, we have things under control, and then walks in the new guy. That's right, the rookie walks in and you're like, who is this ugly SOB? Why is he always talking about TikTok? I still don't understand the obsession with clocks these days. Is he really going to wear those skinny jeans here into the office? Is he going to find out that I'm the person that takes people's food out of break room fridges? Is he going to be funnier than me? Are we going to be on the same schedule? You know what I mean? Because I kind of like to be up in there alone. These are all great questions to ask yourselves when there's a new guy on the block. Well, fantasy football isn't much different. So the incoming rookies here this year, are they going to be a baby face that's going to come in and excel right away that you want a part of, that you want to be next to? Or they just have bust written all over them and you'd rather just avoid them altogether and get back to your normal day-to-day? That's what we're talking about today, some draft or pass rookies. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there, and today we're talking about rookies. That's right, NFL offseason. Everybody wants to know about rookies. This is where the hype trains get out of control, and maybe they've already somewhat started, but I mean, I understand why. There's not a whole lot going on, so a lot of people just want to generate stories here and generate clicks in the offseason, and now people have questions. Now, I would like to think that if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know that we are very interactive with you, the viewer, and over the past few weeks, we've gotten a lot of questions and comments about a few rookies. Now, I've taken the time to go through all those comments and put together 4 guys which we've received the most questions about to try to help you here build your draft strategy for 2020 fantasy football. Now, I'm also going to be doing some film breakdown on these exact guys over on Patreon. So if you're looking for more, that's where you'll need to head for that. But we're doing a little bit of a deep dive here today, and the first guy we're going to be talking about, maybe the most high profile of all of them, it's Jonathan Taylor, running back, Indianapolis Colts. Now with him, is the hype worth it? I mean, there's a lot of hype surrounding Jonathan Taylor. You have a rookie running back that's averaged more than 2,000 yards rushing a season over the last 3 years straight at Wisconsin. But with that comes a lot of wear and tear on the tires, right? 968 touches over the last 3 years in 41 games. That's a pretty hefty workload. Now, despite all of those touches, he was given one of the lowest risk ratings possible by any incoming rookie by our own in-house doctor, Dr. Ethan Turner. The guy just hasn't had any major injuries to worry about. When Kyle and I were at the Combine, he was asked flat out about all the touches he received in college, and he shut it down fairly quickly. He said that him and the Wisconsin staff focused on recovery continually to make sure that he was able to stand up and withhold the amount of work that he was being given on a weekly basis there in Wisconsin. This guy is just a beast. Now, despite being the 3rd heaviest running back at the Combine at 226 pounds, he ran the fastest 40 at 4.39 seconds. His size, it's pretty similar to Saquon Barkley. But so many people just want to hate on him because he's a running back coming out of Wisconsin. And the reference I always get is Monte Ball, just because he's the one that struggled in the NFL. Or they'll bring up the fact that there's lower competition they're playing against, or, well, they always have a great offensive line, so it's not fair. Well, what about Melvin Gordon, James White? They produced at Wisconsin, and they're doing pretty good for themselves right now in the NFL. I'd say they're doing just about fine. And what about the landing spot for Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis? Pretty good offensive line, right? Yeah, I'd say they're at least top 3 in the NFL. Plus, he'll get multiple games a season against the Jaguars, which absolutely has to be a plus here in 2020, right? So there's really only one thing that's an issue in 2020 for me for Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. It's volume, right? He needs some volume. You have Marlon Mack and you have Nyheim Hines, and they're both going to touch the ball. But we know the Colts are going to run, right? I mean, in 2019, they ran the ball 471 times. That's 5th most in the NFL and almost 30 attempts per game. We know Rivers isn't going to be scrambling much, so it's not out of the question that both Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor, could see close to 200 carries apiece this year. That leaves around 50 to 75 carries for Nyheim Hines and a lot of passing work, all totally possible this year. That could make the floor for Jonathan Taylor right around 900 yards and 7 to 9 touchdowns. But Taylor has a 5th round ADP. How can we take him that early if we don't even know if we can count on his volume weekly? It's really tough, right? I mean, with rookie hype getting out of control every offseason, the prices just get so inflated during fantasy football drafts. There are some running backs being drafted around him or after him that may be a little bit safer. For instance, Devin Singletary or even Mark Ingram are going after Jonathan Taylor as of right now. Listen, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the real deal. It will not surprise me if he is a top 10 overall pick next year in 2021. And it wouldn't surprise me if he ended this season on a tear as well. But drafting him is a risk, 100%. You need to know that going into the draft. 15 carries a game on average for Jonathan Taylor isn't going to cut it for you as an RB2. He will be 100% touchdown dependent if that's the case, because he's not going to have the safety of a heavy passing game. A lot of that's going to go the way of Nyheim Hines. I want to draft him. I want him to win my league for me. But he has to at least be my running back 3. And that is totally doable. 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds, for sure. I mean, we've been talking about telling a lot of people that we will go 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds. But maybe we only go 2, and Jonathan Taylor could be our running back 3, somebody who we are not reliant upon starting week 1 until we really see how this split works out. Plus, Marlon Mack is going crazy late in drafts, like 9th, 10th round in some drafts. If that's the case, why not pick up Marlon Mack? There's a good chance he could also see close to 200 carries. And if either one of them get hurt, you have a heavy style run offense behind one of the best offensive lines in football that's going to have weekly value. I mean, you're kind of putting them up there in the same type of level with a Kareem Hunt, Latavius Murray type of handcuff. The volume will still be there weekly. He'll still be a decent flex play if the matchup is great. But if something happens to one or the other, you have yourself an automatic running back 2 at the worst. So if you're asking me, would I draft or pass Jonathan Taylor in the 5th? As long as I already have 2 running backs on my roster, I'm going to draft him because I think the upside is absolutely huge. Next running back we're going to be talking about, it's Cam Akers of the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, this dude has had some tough luck, right? I mean, he struggled having a solid offensive line in college, and now he gets the line in LA with the Rams, which is one of the worst in the NFL. The impressive part, though, despite that bad offensive line at Florida State, he still produced, and he produced quite well. He averaged 4.9 yards per carry over his 3 years there, and in only 11 games last season, he still racked up 231 carries for 1,144 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground, and then also added 30 receptions for 225 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. And then he falls to LA in the 2nd round, and now he has an immediate opportunity for carries in his rookie season. With Todd Gurley gone, now in Atlanta, you have a backfield of Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Malcolm Brown. Now, in my opinion, Akers is by far the most talented of that group, and it really isn't even that close. He's a strong runner that's difficult to bring down, that can catch the ball well and show breakaway speed. But honestly, we probably haven't even seen the best of this kid yet, and we still may not this year. But of all the rookies, he has the clearest path to carries here this season. They have a solid defense and weapons on the outside to pull defenders outside of the box. Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, they didn't do anything to really wow the coaching staff in 2019 because if they would have, they wouldn't have gone out and drafted Akers this year. They're going to use him, and 200 carries isn't out of the question. He's just got some things stacked up against him, really. Their schedule, it's not the easiest. Despite playing in a tough division, they also have games this year against Philadelphia, Buffalo, Chicago, Tampa Bay, and New England, who all could be in the top half of run defenses in the NFL. His price helps, though. I mean, he's sitting right around the 7th round. Really, the only running back close to him in the draft that I would consider at that point is maybe Kareem Hunt. Same type of situation, though, with so many other rookie running backs. It's a committee early that they'll take over the job right around midseason, causing a lot of gray hair or hair to fall out the first half of the fantasy season. If you need a running back in the 7th, then I really don't hate the talent of Cam Akers, because more than likely you're not reliant on him at that point. Now, will I own a lot of Cam Akers this year? No, more than likely I won't, but only because at that point of the draft, that's where I'm really trying to snatch up so much great wide receiver value. It's why I've been talking about running backs so early here, because those middle rounds, there's some league-winning wide receivers at that point. I don't know if I want to grab a bench stash running back to start the season. It may not be the best option for me. So in my opinion, this year, am I going to draft or pass Cam Akers? I'm going to pass. But it's not because of the talent. I'm telling you, this kid is going to surprise some people. Next year's going to be his year. Hopefully they give him the work by midseason. But until Darrell Henderson or Malcolm Brown are out of the picture, really, or that offensive line gets improved, there's a lot stacked against him, and I don't want to have to rely on it here in 2020. What about a wide receiver? What about Justin Jefferson, wide receiver now in Minnesota? Justin Jefferson may be someone that really needs a little bit more attention. I mean, everybody talks about the CeeDee Lambs, the Jerry Judys, the Jalen Reagors, but Justin Jefferson is kind of just being forgotten about at times, I think. Minnesota has 110 vacated targets right now with no more Stephon Diggs. And are we really worried about Tajay Sharp or Olabisi Johnson? No, not really. We're really not. What worries me is Minnesota may be seeing more 2 tight end sets in a run-heavy offense, leaving Jefferson kind of touchdown dependent in order for him to be really usable in fantasy football. Minnesota threw the ball 466 times in 2019, which was the 3rd fewest amount of all teams last season. Now, this kid has great hands. He's amazing catching those 50-50 contested balls and always fights for extra yards. Kind of reminds me of a Jarvis Landry a little bit the way he plays. Now, in a previous video, we talked about the deep ball accuracy of Kirk Cousins, and it's not out of the question that this kid, Justin Jefferson, could excel in that area at times. Now, he's currently going right around the 12th or 13th round, and it's really an intriguing pick to me. Personally, there are some other names right around that same area that I may like a little bit more, Mecole Hardman being one of them. Jalen Reagor is somebody who we really like this year. Still, we've talked about him a lot here this offseason, but is he a bad pick? No, he's really not. Could he be big play dependent as a rookie to really provide you that fantasy value, though? Yeah, he probably could be, and that could be a little bit frustrating at times. I love the talent, I love the potential, but I think it's a year away still before he's really somebody that I want to target on draft day. Now, in normal redraft leagues, more than likely, at the point that he's being drafted, even though it's not expensive and there's littler risk, I'm probably going to pass on Justin Jefferson. But I like this kid, and watch out for him in 2021. If he doesn't get drafted in your league for some reason, he's somebody that you definitely want to pay attention to on the waiver wire, because if they really, involve him a lot in this offense, if he's somebody that can rack up a lot of targets, maybe Adam Thielen isn't healthy to start the season, whatever it may be, he's definitely a name that you want to pay attention to here, start of the season, because he's got the talent, just needs the opportunity. Another wide receiver we're going to talk about, this guy's been blowing up everywhere. Everybody wants to know about Brandon Iuka, wide receiver in San Francisco. This is really all because of the injury to Deebo Samuel, right? As soon as Deebo went down, a lot of people crowning Brandon Iuka as now the man in San Francisco. Now, I love this kid, but don't forget, it is expected that Deebo Samuel could be back by week 1. But the 49ers traded back up into the first round to get this kid. They said they actually had him graded right up there at the top with CeeDee Lamb on their draft board. That's how much they loved him. Now, I've probably been mentioning him here over the past few weeks, but it's time other people start to pay attention. His landing spot in San Francisco isn't exactly the greatest, though, just because they run the ball so much there. But Kyle Shanahan has one of the most creative offenses in all of the NFL. He just finds ways to put players in good positions, right? That is exactly what we saw with Deebo Samuel last year. He wasn't just lining up outside, wasn't just lining up in the slot. Heck, the guy was taking handoffs out of the backfield, and it really helped him excel in this offense. Now, they're also expected to have Jalen Hurd back. and that doesn't exactly help things for Brandon Iuka, but it does give him the ability to be a true outside threat in this offense. This kid is explosive on tape. Great body control, balance, and has big play speed. Like we said, San Francisco moved Deebo all over the field and involved him in so many ways. It really led to his success. And that really needs to stay the same, right? The role that they carved out for Deebo Samuel is something that they probably need to continue. Having Iuka on the outside is only going to open things up more for Deebo Samuel. But now that Deebo is supposed to be good by week 1, what if he's not? Especially with the way that 2020 is going, who really knows at this point? Because 2020 has blown for the first 6 months of the year. But here's the beautiful part of it. He's almost free on draft day. He literally has a coupon hanging from him because he's going undrafted in most leagues. What do you have to lose? At the end of your draft, compared to the return that you could get of a Brandon Iuka in that offense, I mean, what if Deebo Samuel has some type of, he gets re-injured or he just doesn't recover like they think he is? Brandon Ayuk's value could be absolutely huge. And for being almost free on draft day, he's definitely a name I'm paying attention to. No, I'm not an Arizona State homer. Watch some tape of this guy. If you're on Patreon, check out the tape that we're going to be posting on him. He's going to surprise a lot of people because of where he played at Arizona State. He's somewhat unknown. The kid is an animal, though, and he can put up some big numbers really fast. I'm excited to see where he goes in this offense, but he's definitely somebody that this year, in the later rounds of my draft, am I going to draft or pass? I'm going to draft him. All right, so those are 4 rookies that we've received quite a few comments about here over the past few weeks, and I'm sure there's more, and we still got plenty of time this offseason to continue to cover rookies. Keep leaving those comments down below. Do us a favor and hit the like button. It greatly helps us out here on YouTube. Our channel is continuing to grow. We're making a push. We have set a goal. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the season starts. If you could help us out by hitting that subscribe button, we greatly appreciate it. If you enjoy this information, let us know down below. We want to make sure we provide you guys with the most value possible, not just opinions based off of facts that help you make your opinion, because we're not going to sit here and tell anybody to do anything. We just want to make sure you have all the information you need. So we greatly appreciate your support. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week, a great holiday weekend. Be safe out there on July 4th. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one.